Hey, Slainte Y'all. Welcome to Scotch on the Bayou Tuesday night. We're here. We're going to have some drams and just kind of have a chill hour or so show and dive into some GlenAllachie, some Speyside yummy sherry goodness with a couple of more flavors kind of thrown in there. So yeah, pretty excited about this. I kind of forgot I had the leftovers of my tasting I did there this summer. So I thought I've kind of worked through some of those. And I thought, well, let's go ahead and take care of these because GlenAllachie's actually been in the news lately for some rebranding. And I kind of wanted to take a look at that, kind of go over some of the things that I've had, and then my experience there at what they called the premium tasting at GlenAllachie. So yeah. Anyway, it'll be fun. So let me know if you've got a GlenAllachie dram. Pour it up and let's have a chat. Want to say, hey, Stacy. Hello, my friend. Yes, it is almost St. Patrick's Day, which is your big holiday for sure. I know you've been super busy dealing with and working with the state of Ohio and getting certain Irish picks in. And let me tell you, folks, check out our channel because it's where it's at on all things Irish. But if you are in such like in Ohio, where it's a controlled state, how cool is that to be able to have that, to be there to be able to help counsel them on what kind of Irish they need to be bringing in for the state for sale. That's awesome. Thanks, friends, for being here. Honey's on. Hey, babe. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, Mike's in. Hello, and cheers, everyone. Good to see you. Jim's in. Kim Rhetoric, awesome, dude. I was thinking about you. I don't know if you felt the vibes coming from South Louisiana. Um, I have to text you the picture. But Friday night, my guest next week was at our bottle share for our local club, and he brought in some stunning end bottles, like, about that much left of all of these different bottles. And one of them was a 25-year Highland Park. I thought about you, Jim. I thought about you so much. And it was the old label before they've been Vikinized, I was like, because at first I thought it was an independent bottling of it. I was like, wow. But no, to say it was a stunner was an understatement. So I understand your love for old Highland Park and probably your desire for a really old Highland Park. That was good. That was really good. Awesome. Hey, Trooper, thanks for being here. Got the grass cut. You're ready to go. You're on some Glengoyne tonight. Hey, you deserve that dram for getting through that yard and all those mosquitoes. Because I'm gonna tell you what, we went to camp this weekend. It was absolutely gorgeous, so pretty. And I'm like, oh, I want to do some camp drams. I want to film some. And I just at the end of the one that I got to film, I was getting chewed on like you would believe. The mosquitoes were everywhere. So yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if this video comes out. I've had an alligator in my videos before in my reviews. Now you're gonna see what it looks like when I get bombarded by mosquitoes. Yeah, pretty funny. Pretty funny, yeah. So Stacy's got a Bushmill 16 going tonight, but she's coming around on that whiskey, the Scotch. I'm gonna tell you, she's getting there. And Jim I knew you would know. I knew you would know. I knew you would know exactly. So that's cool. Hey, why are you the only like? I have no idea. There's quite a few of us on tonight. So hit the thumbs up. Thanks so much, Peter. That really does help. Okay, we need to connect because I might be able to get down there Sunday. We'll see. We'll see for sure. Goodness gracious. Here we go. That's one of our drams tonight. So the batch 8. Ha. That's what I had in the tasting and what I'll have tonight for sure. So I will have to like compare and contrast some stuff. Um, and Peter, how cool. So y'all had the Highland Games in Gilbert, Arizona this week. You hear there will be tastings. I'm sure that there will be. That's about the best month for like excursion and doing things in Arizona, right? I mean, we get hot, but y'all get like volcanic. So so yeah, let's talk about GlenAllachie. Um Went over, so the first week I went over this past summer. I did kind of a few days in Edinburgh and then went up to the Highlands, hit GlenAllachie and Brora, and then over to Dornoch Castle, uh, Thompson Brothers, got to visit with them a little bit, and then Glenmorangie. And then I spent 4 days in Speyside. I had never been to Speyside before. And to me, it's absolutely gorgeous. And it was late May, so there was the rhododendrons and the gorse were all blooming. So you had all this purple and gold, and well, you know what I think about purple and gold, right? So it just was absolutely gorgeous. I had a driver because I knew I wanted to imbibe, and I did the what's called the premium tasting tour. So we did go on a tour and got to go around and see. I was looking out for Billy Walker. You have no idea. I think it was there on the wrong day that he wasn't there that day. But you don't really know what you're going to get in these tastings, right? You have a premium tasting, or you think you look at the echelon, you know, you're not going in for your, hey, this is a distillery tour, you know, and they'll give core range and kind of go from there. But for a premium tour or premium dram or warehouse drams or single cask, you know, you get an idea that you're going to get something a little level up, right? So we get into the tasting room, which is really neat. And something to think about, excuse me, something to think about GlenAllachie itself is the distillery is not real old because it was opened in 1967. In the 60s was not that long ago. There are a couple of us on here that I will say are older than the distillery itself. But you know, it's not ancient. And I think if you're not from there, if you're from afar, like here, you just think all distilleries are old. You don't really get that there are new ones, or there were some that popped up in the 60s and the 70s, you know. You just think that they're all this wonderful, quintessential old, you know, hundreds of years old uh whiskey making meccas, and they're not. It was 1967. It was opened up, and it's had, you know, a couple of independent owners, and then Pinot Ricard bought it. Um and they had it, and they were just using it to produce mainly and the that would go into Clan Campbell blend whiskey. So until the Yoda, who I just see Time for a Dram is in, and he definitely did get to see Billy Walker when he was there, a dog. But when you do go there and you get an idea and you see these things, you see GlenAllachie in the stores. My first time, I was thinking, well, that's what they've always done, but it's not. And really, when they come in and the GlenAllachie consortium buys them, headed by Billy Walker, do we see what we see now is the concentration on single malts. So given all that, they don't have a long history of just the single malts. And when you look at what's available for a premium tasting, I was trying to kind of gauge on what it would be. And I mean, it didn't disappoint at all. But I was surprised that there was some cool range stuff in there. But that was okay because it's really good, right? And so I got this little pack. Even though I was there and did my tasting there, I always get like driver drams. So and they came with we had four different expressions. So there were these little bottles and I numbered them and took a picture. And that's how I remember which were which, right? And so I've poured this first one, and the first two I already had. Different variations, granted, but already had. So our first was their core range of GlenAllachie 15. And this is my bottle of it, so you can see what it looks like. And you notice that this is the branding that we've known. Um, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But so this is the 15. So I'm going to take a nose of this and see who all has popped back in. I see Rob's in. Hey, friend. That's okay. If you don't have any GlenAllachie, that's all right. Maybe grab another kind of sherry if you like it. Hey, Gregor's in. Time for a dram. Everyone's dramming well. So also, plug for Time for a Dram, because Dram Face just released its latest podcast, which is hosted by his truly Time for a Dram, Gregor. So check that out. It's on my list to do tomorrow, is to listen tomorrow. I have like a block of uninterrupted time, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we were talking about how hot Arizona is. Tandoori oven hot, dude. Yes, that's it. It is, yeah, I'm sure you have to get up in the altitude, but it's absolutely stunningly gorgeous state. You really, really does. I've enjoyed my time in Tucson and Phoenix, Chandler with some friends, and yeah, very nice. So you think about GlenAllachie, you think sherry. And you say, okay, so 2017 is when the consortium bought GlenAllachie from Pinot Ricard. And that, you know, we're talking 7 years ago. This is 15-year-old whiskey. This is not Billy Walker's Spirit, right? But the man is a magician on casks. So, I mean, word is he kind of got in there and started re-racking some stuff. But this has just got a lovely perfume of sherry, a little bit of spice on the nose, but for the most part, it's that sour wine sweetness with some brown sugar. So very nice. So let me know if you've had the 15. It's at 46%. And so there's different variations. Mine I've had for a while. What this is, I was looking at the label. Of course, the ABV is not going to be different, like batches, like the cask strength will be. But there are batches per year. But just really lovely. Much spicier on the finish than I remembered. But you got those stewed fruits, plums, maybe a little brightness of apple. But for the most part, it's very balanced. And that's one of the things I like overall of GlenAllachie. I don't find there's any harshness on a nose or a palate or the finish. It's just kind of melds well together. And I think that's a tribute to his his casking and his voodoo he does there. So they've only had the visitor center open, I don't know, probably what, 4 or 5 years. It's all recently, and it's very new. It's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful area. So, and then when you get, is it Tufton or Avalor? I think it's Avalor because you go, yeah, it's Avalor because you can actually walk this back trail from GlenAllachie over to Avalor, um, which is really kind of cool. And there's this little creek, this little burn that you can walk by, and then there's sheep galore in the field next to it. So it's just absolutely wonderful. There's not a on the main road going through Dufton and then Avalor, Craigallachie, all through there. There's not a really good way to walk. You could probably physically walk those things, but they're like getting around. You need to be in a vehicle because there's no shoulder, there's no anything. And those lorries drive like bat out of hell getting up and through there. So that's why it is kind of cool that you can walk through this little meadow area, this little pathway to get from GlenAllachie to Avalor. I mean, at 15, you get a little heat right away, but it doesn't last very long at all on the finish. At 46, super easy, super easy, super easy to taste. Mm. And that little bit was basically 3 sips. But I have more. I have more than 3 sips in here. So yeah, it's really good. Good sherry. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Bruce is in. Hey, friend. Took some time off. Took a week off and see if it will last a month. Yeah, wish, right? Some good weather. We've had fabulous weather. We got in the 80s today, but no, we're gonna be in the 60s for a high by the end of the week. Yep, for sure, for sure. Taste and Sensibility is here, and you recently bought your first GlenAllachie. Congratulations, the 12. Very, very nice. That's fantastic. You have to tell me, is it the old or the new packaging? Um, well, that's fantastic. Yum, yum. Hey, everybody. Hey, Molasses. Good to see you, friend. Thanks for being in. Um, yeah, see, I'll tell you, 12 is first and still your favorite. And 12 it's kind of that sweet spot though, right? I mean, it's not really young and it's not, you know, kind of getting up there. It should have a very nice, uh, let's see, a nice balance, of the age and the flavors with that one for sure. So Peter's saying that the Jewel of the South was in the top bars. They made a whirling dervish with monkey shoulder. Very cool. Huh. I did check that out for sure. Cool Running is in again. Hello, friend. Thanks for being here. Let us know if you're having something good to have. Uh, that's good. Oh, so the Silverleaf in London added peat to Knob Creek in their cocktails. That's very interesting. And I actually, so the Melody Bar, I don't know if Andrew's on tonight. Of course, it's 2 a.m. in the UK. So he may actually be sleeping for the first time. But when we went over, we met with Andrew over in London, and the Melody Bar announced today that they're closing for 2 weeks to kind of refurbish and rework some things. So I thought that was also interesting. So Rob's going to go ahead and go with Glenfarclas right down the road, man. Right down the road. Glenfarclas 105. Awesome. Love that dram. Oh, my heavens. Love it. Love it. Goodness gracious. Let's see whatever he said. So the GlenAllachie 12 is pretty dark. Yeah, it's pretty new and dark. Oh gosh. And then the other Peter is in 55 degrees thunderstorms in southern Ontario. Oh, well, I guess that's pretty warm for there, right? Yeah. That's awesome. And hey, Good to see you. Thanks for being here, Mossy. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the show. We're having a very chill night, going through just basically the drams that I had and brought back from my GlenAllachie tasting in Scotland last year. So that was dram one's done. So again, premium, and I'm thinking, okay, but these are things I can get. These are things that are already on my shelf. And the next dram, and I'll go ahead and pour it now. I also had, but not really. So who was it? Let me roll back here real quick, and I don't have my glasses on. That also had the batch 8. Batch 8. Mm-hmm. Peter, was it you? Who had batch 8? Castric 10, batch 8. That's what this is. Okay. Oh, remind me, because, you know. So the second dram, kind of like the 15, a little hotter, and probably so because it is the 10 batch strength. My bottle is batch 6. The batch we had which is this, what's in my glass, that's a batch 8. So they're going to kind of go back and forth as far as where they put things together, you know? Yes, Mossy, absolutely. We're going to talk about that because I brought one of those home this fall. So yeah, hang on, because I do want to get into that, because that is Mr. Walker's spirit for sure. Batch strength, cast strength, batch 8. Yeah, 8, not 6. I get a lot more sherry note on this. A little bit more malt on the 10. I mean, so this one, so batch 8 was 57.2. Okay, it's been in a little bottle. But y'all, there's no like burn your nose on alcohol at all. It's just it's very rich. The nose is super rich. A little bit of orange in there. Chocolate, tobacco. And when I say tobacco, I talked about this last week too, is that my dad smoked Swisher Sweets. And that's, to me, that kind of, not like cigarette tobacco, but like a cigar tobacco that's sweet. To me, this is much more sherry forward than the 15 was. 15 was more of a complete package, though at 46%. This is, oh, you get that dry sherry note, a little bit of the tannin, again with the chocolate and the orange, just a little bit of orange. It's got a somewhat oily consistency to it. Their stills are very wide. They're kind of squatty, you know. So that adds for a lot of that reflux to kind of stay heavy instead of traveling up a line arm and getting out of there, you know. Goodness. Oh, Martin. I know. I really wanted to be there. What Slainte Y'all from the Whiskey Vault? Yes, Martin did Edinburgh Whiskey Academy. I'm so happy for you, and I know at the Wizard Academy. So I know that you are you're living your best life there, dude. I know you did well, and I know you had a blast. Oh my gosh. I dare you to find a Deanston 20 because Drew Bills and I killed that a couple years ago, unless I got a couple of other bottles. If you do see it, have a dram for me and Drew for sure. Mm. Yeah, molasses. Thank you. I know you did. So you didn't care for it much when you first got it, and now it's your favorite of the 10 releases. And that, oh, so that's the batch two. Wow. And it's almost gone. Wow. Um, but it's going to vary big time, and it all depends on what kind of cask they pull for that batch, right? And you know, um, let's just kind of flip over here real quick before we get into these other ones. So, as you know, we're used to this kind of packaging. Um, my brother probably could tell you what the font is. Um, if you haven't seen I think it's Jeff Whiskey did a quick video about the rebranding, and the guy designs for a living. He does design. Um, Packaging is one of his, favorite things to talk about, because that's his passion. He loves design and he wants to see what it's like, and see how well something responds. Um, and so this GlenAllachie that we're getting here is kind of, I call it the matchsticks, or it's just like little twigs that make up the GlenAllachie. Um, Now I would gladly take a 21 or a 30 in this branding. I'm cool with that. Right? Hi, Martin. No Dean, no 20, just Deanston 18. That'll work. Or find you a GlenAllachie and drink with his friend. So yeah, we're used to this kind of packaging. Um, but they recently just announced this type of packaging, this kind of GlenAllachie that, I mean, it's very close to the original on the font, but just a bit thicker and stronger, I think. Almost like a chisel kind of look to it. And then they've got this color block. Um, Pictures that I saw online made it look a lot lighter, almost pastel. And I think even Jeff makes that comment about them being kind of pastel-y. But here on their website, the 10 cast strength is this pretty vibrant green. Not gonna lie, that's what I had on the thumbnail. This purple for the 12-year, and then the 15 in blue, and the orange, as we say down in the South, the orange, almost like a burnt umber, down here at the bottom. The 18 for that. I noticed though the 8 is still in the old packaging. So I'm wondering if they're just going to rotate the 8 off. Uh, Interesting to see if they're going to be doing that for sure. So let me know what you think about the packaging. I kind of like it. I like how the gold year statement pretty much pops out at you. Um, where you kind of had the dot thing going on over here for these, and that's okay. But most of these, all the core range, are not going to be in fancy bottles like the big stuff. Um, they're just going to be on the shelf, at least. Well, actually, no, they did come in boxes, didn't they? I think I just chunked my boxes. I know that some of these other ones that I have, some of the single casks, those did not come in boxes, or they came in the really fancy box. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you think about the new branding on that. I really like that blue. It's like I would almost buy the blue one because I like the blue one. I mean, because so if that's the case, they're batting a thousand with me. Um, Very interesting. Cool. Um, Awesome. So I saw some other folks jumped in. Uh, Uncorked is here, also from the vault. Hey, friend. Awesome. Thanks for being here. And cheers and congratulations on doing Edinburgh Whiskey Academy. I know that was probably a blast. guessing you may be a whiskey som as well as our friend Martin there, and quite a few of our friends that have gone through that. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for being here. And let me know what you've poured at the vault. And if I know most everybody knows the Whiskey Tribe and the Vault and all the whiskey that they have. My heavens, it's like Disney World. Going in there and seeing all the beautiful things that they have for sure. Um, oh goodness. Oh, I'm excited about Peter, the Peter Newton, Peter is making all kinds of cocktails with stuff. Coffee, old fashioned, about Balvenie double wood with different cocktails. Um, Elements of the last slinging standing duel. That's great. Awesome. Um, so Melissa said you really do like it. They need to dispense with the box though. Yeah. I think more and more folks are seeing that it's really not necessary. I would guess it helps some in shipping. But some of them are really too much. Some of the packaging is really heavy. And I mean, do y'all keep boxes? I mean, you look at my shelves, I don't have a box. I mean, I've got the box the signet is in. Not only that, over in the corner, I have this felt bag that a wooden box Tomatin came in. And it's got a Tomatin logo on it and everything. And I'm just like, I've had it for years and it just is in the way, but I don't throw it away because it's something from the distillery. So I don't know. I need to get some of that out of the way for sure. Good point. Don't get used to anybody's packaging because it's always going to change. A little fresh and different. Never hurt anything for sure. So Martin is having. He just glad. Oh, ooh. Talk about some sherry. The Glendronach 16, Boynes Mill, an Oloroso PX, and port finish. Holy moly. That's dessert in a glass, boo. Yum. Uh, yeah. So to the new Psalms, I know that they've had some Psalms, Taste and Sensibility, but the Edinburgh Whiskey Academy actually came over and held 2 sessions at the Wizard Academy where the whiskey schools are. So that it was a different thing, and Daniel did some of the presentation too. So it was really pretty cool. Would love for time to have worked out to where I might could have done that, but I still do have my eye on the prize of going there and doing it. Just not exactly sure when. For sure. But anytime you can learn more about things, well, I got a text literally tonight. She's not on because she's packing. Why is she packing? Jennifer is not on tonight because she's packing to go to Scotland this Sunday. I think she's going Saturday or Sunday. She's flying over there because she starts Springbank school on Monday. So yeah, whenever you can go and learn more, it's great if you can go, but if not, pick up a book or, just sit and go down a rabbit hole. Um, this weekend at the camp, I went down a rabbit hole about Quercus umbolti and what the chemical relationship of Colombian oak was to American oak. Let me tell you, I found the scientific papers and I read them and I was like, huh, that's interesting. I'm really glad somebody's smarter than me to figure all that out. So I can just read the summary of your entire thesis and call it good. So yeah, but 10. So again, this tasting, we get into the 10 cask strength and it's very yummy. And the 10 and the 15 are definitely a bump up from a run of the mill, type of tasting. They're not just They're not pedestrian. Let's put it that way. Mm, goodness gracious. Uh, Peter's got you all lined up, folks, for all your Scotch cocktails. Um, this one was a grape and ginger highball with Glenfiddich 12. Um, so Peter, I think I might have missed some of that. Are these things that you've worked on or that you've had at a bar, um, or that you found online? And if there's a link, throw it in the chat for sure. Because yeah, I'm always looking for Scotch cocktails. Awesome. Okay, third dram. Third dram's charm, right? This one was because this is the one that hooked Leanne. This was the hand pour available at the gift shop. Number 3. And number 3, oh, it is just what I remember. Okay. So yes, I haven't opened it yet because I knew I had the sample. This came home. This is one of the 17 that came home this summer. And pardon me as I throw some glasses on because I don't want to get this wrong. All right. So this was our third dram. It's the hand fill at the time, a 13-year Madeira Barrique. 59.1. Y'all. I ain't lying. Again, pretty fancy packaging. But it did get it home, so that was good. But Madeira is kind of, I'm like port and Madeira, both of them I just absolutely adore. So this is, yes, I wrote that scribble number. So funny story about the bottle number 225. So the person in front of me was also getting one of these, and you had to write in the book, and the next one up was 225. And so the person's there helping you fill all that out. And he goes to write his name next to 225. And she goes, okay, right there where it says bottle 225. And I go, 225. And he stops and he goes, is that significant? And I said, that's my area code in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Seriously, we're all about the 225. And he's like, oh, well, then you go ahead and get this bottle. I'll get the next one. So he's 226 and I'm 225. So how sweet was that, to let me go in front of him. So I got this bottle. But yeah, so May 31st. No, May 30th. I bottled this. And Madeira. Yeah. Kevin goes, the 225. Yeah. So Kevin is going to be my guest sitting here next to me because he's coming to my house. And we're going to go through some I don't know what we're going to call it yet. We still have to figure it out, but it's basically a flight with friends. And this will be his debut on whiskey, but Guy knows and loves his Scotch. So we're going to have fun with that. Okay. Thank you for telling me. So Top Bars is their premier event. Okay. With 40 bars, 2 cocktails each from all around the world. Okay. Cool. I will check that out for sure. Yes. Rum, Madeira. Yeah. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, y'all, that just winey goodness. This is, but very different from sherry, right? Madeira is, to me, is what I think of sherry as like an Oloroso or a PX. This is much brighter fruit to me. Yeah, I know, Trooper. 225 all the way. So I saw Jim was saying, you're going to be in Scotland and you've already scheduled your barley to bottle experience at Springbank. Your life will never be the same, Jim. Your life will not be the same. After you get through all of that tour and go through that absolutely ancient place, and you get in the lab. I mean, you're malting, the steeping, the malting rooms, all the things. And when you get to that lab to make your own bottle, to put and blend your own bottle, you're going to lose your mind. That is not a cheap experience, but it's an experience. Number one, you walk out of there with a 700 milliliter bottle of Springbank that you put together, right? Um, and so that's something when you think about if you're going to go over to Scotland, like what are those big experiences that you want? You want to be able to say, I blended my own Springbank, or do you just want to try to hit as many distilleries so you can stamp a passport and said, yeah, I went to that one. Yeah, I went to that one. I'm more over quality over quantity for my preference. So I wanted the most robust experience I could have at that particular place, given time and budget. You can't go be doing that at every place. But you definitely pick your favorites, right? Oh, it's just really, again, bright. I mean, there's a wine element to it, but it's much brighter, much more citrus on the nose, almost like a lemon lime. Let's see if I remember how good it tastes. Almost earthy, almost a savory bit to it, which I get with Madeiras. There's almost that edamame kind of flavor to it. It's like a richer, deeper. It's not on the surface. Goodness gracious. So Masha said your cast strength 10, the batch 5 was your favorite. Not had any of the new ones. They're on 11 now. We had 8 last summer. So that must have been kind of a bottle held behind, I guess. Yeah. Oh, goodness. That's so good. So good. And remind me, Jim, have you been to Campbelltown before? I don't remember. I would say if you could do Ian McAllister's tour at Glen Scotia, that would be a big one. That would definitely be it. Oh, goodness. Really? You're working with the NOLA Community Partnership to bring, hopefully, an Edinburgh Whiskey Academy courses to y'all soon. Let me know, friend. Like, yeah. Hit me up, scotchonthebayou@gmail.com. Let's chat. I would really like to talk about that. Yeah. Guess is the only one that you can't visit while you're there. I'll send it. Okay, cool. I'm guessing Highland Park. You're not getting up to Orkney on this trip. Because you are like my resident Highland Park person. Okay, so this is going to be your first time in Campbelltown. Awesome. Yeah, I'll send you a couple of places, food places that we ate. Yeah, it's a lovely. It is a wee tune, right? Campbelltown. It's just awesome. So Peter, everybody, we're going to Peter's house. I love it. So Arizona Cocktail Weekend last year, there was an awesome class on sherry, taught by Steve Perry and actually William Hubert, Sazerac. Awesome. That's down the street from us. Yeah. Oh, bummer, friend. They're closed. Ugh. We're actually going to be at Orkney for 3 days. Man, I'd be knocking on it. Okay, so Jim, find out, like, I'm sure, do you know the ambassador person from the US? Like, somebody's still got to be there. I'm just saying, somebody's still got to be there. send them a picture of what you've got in your house and say, surely to goodness, somebody can come in and let me say, hey. I mean, you get, what is it? You make 0 goals of the shots you don't take. So I'll just say, shoot your shot and see what happens. Hey, Graham. Hey, friend. Good to see you. Just back from another Glasgow Whiskey Club. I can't even imagine the fabulous drams y'all had tonight. And I know you actually gave me a GlenAllachie 10. I have to go look. I know where it's in the drawer over here. I don't recall which batch it is, but we've had the 10 cast strength batch 8. I have the batch 6 bottle. And right now, our third Graham, can't talk, is the hand pour I did last year, which was the 13-year Madeira Brique, which was just divine. The fourth Graham, I drank all of it there. I didn't bring it home. And it was a 13-year cast strength Oloroso. And it was 55.7. It was divine. It was chocolate and kind of nutty and just, it was very, very good. Yeah. And very, very good. So, we're just it would have been nice to bring some of that home, but I was really happy with what I got there. So we talked about, these are the things that Billy Walker's had to play with, the cask that he inherited when they took over GlenAllachie. But let's go ahead and talk about what he's doing and the spirit he's made. So he had the one kind of in progress expression that was released last year. But the big uproar and the hullabaloo has been over this Mikultur. And when Graham and I went up to Deanston, we went to Calendar first and met, went to the Whiskey Grill, the Calendar Whiskey Shop, and met those crazy women up there. If you don't listen to it, you've got to listen to the podcast, The Whiskey Grill. It's absolutely fabulous. But yeah, so Mikultur is all Billy Walker spirit. It's these are all 5 years, and they're peated, which is so not what you think of when it comes to GlenAllachie. You don't think necessarily peated. You think sherry bomb. You don't really go here. So this is where I think you're going to see Billy Walker's influence. And then when you can get a good idea of the spirit off of these. Yes, they're going to be peated and they're different variations of maturation. But there's something about being able to pick out that spirit. Yes, Jen and Rachel's are amazing. They're fabulous. We had the best time. And I discovered them listening to the podcast that Gregor does, because they were on the Dram Face podcast. And I'm like, who are these women? I have got to meet them. They are an absolute riot. So yeah, I got to visit good with them. So 4 different expressions of Mikultur. Let me know if you've had any. I brought home one of these. Didn't have a lot of time to run through the tasting of them. I find it interesting now when you're looking at the new packaging over here. These are the same hues, the same color values as these. That's crazy. Now that this is the green one, this is the purple, this is the orange, and this is the blue. Y'all, he's a genius. And I'm going to have to go, did someone say podcast? Yes, you're back. I'm gonna have to talk to Jeff Whiskey more about this and talk about that correlation, because that definitely that's something really interesting. So these 4 expressions, the original is where I'm guessing they don't talk a whole lot about cask variations on these. They just really kind of give you notes about them. I want all the dish. So this one probably does. If we could only see it really big. So in this section right here, that's where they talk about the casking. So apologies that I don't have that just yet, but we'll be able to figure that out. So yeah, so there's the original. Again, these are all 5 years old. Mainland peat. So you're gonna have more floral notes in the peat rather than a minerality or an oiliness from like a coastal or maritime peat, you know? So there's the 5, there's the sherry one, which would make sense. So this is in sherry wood. Very long fermentation periods, 160 hours of fermentation. That means big time fruit, as opposed to like a 60 or a 72 hour. You'll get more cereal tone notes and almost tropical fruit notes on those as you would something that's over 100 for sure. So there's the sherry version, which I almost got, but this fourth one rather, the blue here is turbo. That's their highest peated level. And let me know if y'all let me know if any of y'all have had. I know Graham, you've had some of them. Eagle tour. So Gregor, you've had the sherry and the chinkapin. Because the chinkapin, this one, chinkapin virgin oak casks, different type of oak, right? Chinkapin oak. Again, 160 hours on that fermentation. That's what I have. So I'm gonna pour, and this is for those so you can see. So here it shows right there where that's been matured in chinkapin virgin oak casks. I wouldn't imagine the ppm on this is very high. Probably in the 20s or 30s. Not super peaty. Tom, I say that and I get woof, Pete. Tom's in. So I'm gonna get a splash of this. Let's see. Yeah, that sounded good. It definitely. Oh man, probably should have rinsed my glass out a little bit. May have some residual sherry up in there. Let me see. Yeah, mainland peat, very different than an Isla peat. And Tom, y'all everybody say hey to Tamar, my bud. Actually, I'm coming up there next week. Tom, I'm coming to Chicago. We'll have to talk maybe Thursday night about that. For less than 48 hours, I will be in Chicago to see a band from Glasgow. How's that for crazy? And my crazy friend, Kristen and I are gonna go do. We're taking the train on a Friday afternoon, overnight. The city of New Orleans train overnight. We get into Chicago on Saturday. We're gonna go tool around the town, go to the museum, have some dinner, go watch a Glaswegian band called the Snuts. Check them out, new album. In Chicago, and then we're flying home the next morning, and we will be back before the time we left, so less than 48 hours. That's how you do it, folks. I'll be so tired. I don't care. So you haven't had any, you just like the names of them. Yeah. So at first I got a big woof of peat. More like this earth kind of peat, not something medicinal or overarching. I knew I am going to the Snuts. I think they're coming to Portland. I think so. But yes, they're absolutely fabulous, and their new album is out, and Circles is the sleeper song of the new album. It's amazing. You heard it here first, folks. So, I mean, it's 5 years old. You can taste that this is a little 5 years old. Ironically, this weekend I drank 3 other 4 and 5-year-old whiskeys. So I'm kind of on a young kick here. This so the peat smoke ratio, this is actually quite peatier, smokier than I remembered it. Very sweet on the finish still. Very sweet. The smoke kind of goes a little ashy on the finish. I find like a lot of virgin oak casks, whichever flavor they are, Quercus alba, Quercus humboldti, for those Colombian Isle of Race fiends. And then like the chinkapin, I find it's usually kind of a grassier, brighter lemongrass type. And if not done right, you're going to get some astringent oakiness, a little, I call it lumberyard, but it's that new wood cut smell, and taste on it. I'm not getting that here. I am getting a pretty hefty, ashy finish to it. So ABV on these are 48%, which is a lovely medium between, I mean, even 46, but would have been pretty legit. It's not 40, it's not 43, it's not squeaking by on percentage there. Heck, 2 more percents and we're almost talking cask strength. So very well presented, no color added, no non-chill filtered. Yep. All the good things. It presents perfectly well. So I would say don't be afraid if you see these. They were pretty decent pricing if I remember. Graham, did you have a favorite of one of these? I know we were able to taste this one at the shop with Jen and Rachel. So that's where I bought this one, was at the Grail in Calendar. But I guess one of my point on the Meikle tour, yes, it's peated. Yes, there's this ashiness to it, the sweetness, but the spirit is solid. Like there's nothing off-putting with the spirit. The spirit's not sour, or I mean, I think the sweetness is coming straight off the spirit, maybe a little bit off of the cask. But the finish is lasting well. It's not, kind of gone. That 15 dissipated pretty fast on a finish, where, this is kind of, I mean, you could tell the brightness is there, it's young, but it's not an acetone young that you get on some of those young whiskeys. It's very, very nicely balanced for what it is. Makes you wonder what he's going to be doing when his spirit comes to fruition with those sherry casks. Man. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love it. I love it. So Graham has a tasting with the news brand ambassador, Ronan, from GlenAllachie, and you're trying their sherry series in Falkirk in mid-March. Dude, yes. Awesome. Man, you'll have to get us any kind of inside intel and let us know about that, Graham. That sounds wonderful. Um, please thank him for his service. Um, hey James, thanks for being here. Yeah, so UK $45, for 48% not chill filtered, no color added. Yeah, it's 5 years, but if you've got quality in the bottle, I don't care so much about years. How many bottles do we buy that have no age statement on it? You don't know what is in there, and you're going to spend more than 45 pounds or probably, I don't know, $60 for that. So Graham's favorite is the turbo, the highly peated. Yeah. And of course, James is going to say, but you can't get it. Right? Ain't that always the case? Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. So are those going to be core releases? I guess I would say so. Um, he's running stock. You would have to think that now that if he's got 5-year peated that he's running, they're running peated every year. I read one article. It kind of made it sound like they run a peated batch like every month, but um I know like the Balvenie, they'll do their week of peat one time a year. Um, but when you look at the volume that a Balvenie would do compared to the volume that GlenAllachie puts out, I could see where they would probably do it once a month or so. It's just a pain. You got to clean those stills in between. They have 2 sets of stills, but still, see what I did there? You would still have to go through the whole process of cleaning that out in between runs of peated and non-peated malt for sure. Yeah. So to get all 4, you have to, to get that one, the turbo, you have to purchase a bundle of all 4. Wow. Yeah. I don't think I recall at all in Glasgow seeing the one that was blue, which was that turbo. I don't recall that at all. Interesting. Mm. It is so tasty, y'all. Mm. Well, it's time. We've run the course here on this. I guess kind of just to wrap up, GlenAllachie to me is one of those things. I've got one other bottle here I was going to show you. This was one of the first ones I ever got. I think I got the 15 first, and then on another trip to Houston, because that's where all the GlenAllachie is. This was a single cask that I got. That was exclusive for Specs. Shout out all our Texas people in the Specs liquor stores. This is a 12-year ruby port pipe. Look at that. Look at the color. Look at the color. At 53.9, y'all. Look at the color. Yeah. So, because I like my port finished and matured whiskeys. It's going to be, as far as the tasting goes, I was very happy with it. Even though 2 of those things were things I already had, they were still different than what I had because of the batching. And they're really good drams, the 10 and the 15. I loved the specialty single cask so much. I bought the hand pour of it. And the other one was so good, I didn't even have any left to bring home. So if you're able to go and do something like that, try to figure out what your expectations are for the drams that you want compared to what their offerings. And go for the one that you can afford and that you really would want. If you don't really see something like that, just maybe go to the tour, or some things don't come with the tour and you're just going to get the tasting like we did at Avalor. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Highly recommend adding a little bit of Kalila in with the GlenAllachie 10. It's magical. I will have to try that. I will definitely have to try that. great suggestion. That's why I love this. We all come to the table with some good ideas and share, and it's awesome. Um, yum, yum, yum. Um, so your Graham's going to be visiting GlenAllachie warehouses during the spirit of Speyside. It's on my list one of these days. One of these days. Um, one of these years, I should say. In early May. I hope it doesn't snow on y'all this year. You must report back. You must report back. To the cast strength. Yes, the cast strength 10 with the Levitical. So saith Mike. Molasses, you heard it. You heard it here. But yes, it I think there's great promise for what GlenAllachie is going to do. Billy Walker is a master at casks. What he inherited, he's working it the way he wants to put out the products that he wants. But man, the first 10-year cast strength we get from him with his spirit, can you imagine? That would be an interesting thing to compare, right? Very much so. Well, I'm going to finish this up. Next week, we are going to have in studio my friend Kevin Cullen. You saw him here. Very dynamic young man here, neighbor in Baton Rouge, who absolutely loves his scotch. And he has a palate and a budget that well, at least the budget I don't have. But he's one of the most generous souls I've ever met. So he loves sharing his whiskey. Shared some incredible things with me this weekend at our bottle share that we had here in Baton Rouge. So he and I are going to peruse through what he has way down in the bottle that needs to be killed, and we're gonna kill some bottles here next week on Tuesday. Goodness knows, just to give you a hint. I told you about the 25-year old school Highland Park that he had. He also shared a Gordon MacPhail 40-year-old Glenrothes that we killed. We're going to have some cool drams, y'all. He's got some old stuff. So, yeah, hope we see you back here next week. Aw, shucks. We're going to have so much fun. Kevin and Leanne may get adorable. Not quite precious, because we got to get him back home to his family that night. But yeah, so thanks everyone. Thanks all the Camp Drammers. Thanks for all the support. Working on a couple of new videos. And hopefully the mosquitoes don't make too much. They don't steal too much of my shine on this last one I recorded. But yeah, we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks, y'all. Drink well, be well, and I'll see you. Slainte Y'all. Cheers.